Well, hello and welcome back to this Moneycontrol live stream. You're watching Closing Bell with me, Nandita Khemka.
And I'm Yatin Mota.
Well, Yatin, clearly midweek blues, gripping the Lal Street this Wednesday, given the fact that we ended the day where we started the day around that 18,290 levels or thereabouts. So it was a close below that 18,300 mark, and the Sensex too retreated after reclaiming that 62,000 mark in intraday trade. But important to note that the mid cap index managed to end the day with gains to the tune of 2 to 3/10%. And among the sectoral movers, metals came off after gaining for the last couple of sessions. In fact, over the last 2-3 sessions, the metals pack was shining bright and gaining somewhere around 2 to 3% on a daily basis. Banks, of course, came off in today's session as well, and you had pharma and FMCG, some of the defensives doing well in today's session, though IT was a little muted. Among the top Nifty movers, you had the likes of Sun Pharma. Of course, Taro numbers came out on a YY basis. It was good, but quarter-on-quarter numbers were something that impressed the street. Aside of that, Hindalco came out with numbers, steady performance, margins were in line, but revenue and profit were above estimates. What's notable is the Adani stocks. They took a U-turn and ended the day in the red. In fact, some of the stocks crashed as much as 8% or thereabouts. And after a few sessions of strong gains, these stocks came off. And among the other losers, you had the likes of Tata Motors, HDFC Twins, JSW Steel. Aside of Sun Pharma, some of the other gainers on the Nifty were Dr. Reddy's, IndusInd as well as Hero MotoCorp. Lots of mid-caps in the news today, given the fact that Mahindra CIE saw a block deal, and a lot of others like Deepak Nitrate. Take us through some of the mid-cap.
So, if you look at the stocks like Mahindra CIE, the stock gained nearly 10% intraday. There was a block deal in which Mahindra and Mahindra sold nearly 1.2 crore shares. Obviously, Mahindra, had a joint venture with this European group called CIE, and post the block deal, we saw some good traction coming in for the stock. As far as other movers are concerned, we had Dixon Technologies. That stock rose 7%. Obviously, earnings were slightly better than street expectations, and moreover, the company said that they are negotiating with two new customers with respect to orders, and probably that was boosting the confidence in the stock. Some profit taking in Adani Group stocks. Adani Enterprises itself, the flagship company, was down 6%. Cummins India, that is one stock which came out with a good set of quarterly earnings, but they refrained from giving in FY24 guidance because they probably feel that because of the new emission norms, the generator segment could remain uncertain, and probably the pricing power and the changes after the new emission norms kick in could have some impact in the near term. So, because of no guidance, probably that stock was under pressure. Nandita, let's talk about the stocks which are on your focus, because I'll probably talk about Deepak Nitrate in a bit.
Right.
But before that, I think you should open up your cards.
Sure. Well, I will open up my cards, and the first one on my list today is Amara Raja Batteries. Now, this is the second largest manufacturer of batteries after Exide, and it has reported a great set of numbers, 40% jump in profits on a YOY basis. Margins were also pretty much healthy, but the stock wasn't doing all that well in today's session. Profits have jumped on the back of hopes of good demand from auto and telecom sector, given the fact that autos have resumed production back to pre-pandemic levels. So there's strong demand from that segment, and from telecom as well, given the fact that we have seen an increase in telecom towers plus the 5G rollout. So both these things bode well for this company in particular. Management commentary was pretty good on a quarter-on-quarter basis. Point to note, the margins weren't all that great, and the company expects the margins to be around that level, given the fact that they are increasing their capacity. So that probably could be a dampener, but aside of that, management is hopeful that the demand will remain strong across the board. And the company has somewhere around 60% exposure to telecom.
Okay.
And 5G rollout plus, as I mentioned, the increase in telecom towers will of course bode well in terms of demand. When it comes to aftermarket, the telecom, in fact auto aftermarket segment, the four-wheeler aftermarket segment, it has a 35% share, but internationally in Malaysia and Singapore, it is a leader in this segment. So, what will drive growth for the company going forward? It's the strong demand in telecom and auto. It's the increase in mobile towers, and of course, the India's lithium-ion battery is expected to see a lot of growth, given the fact that that we are shifting to the EV space as well, and there's of course for the rollout of 5G as well, there's a lot of demand on that front. So the company is also looking for a partner when it comes to this segment.
Correct.
So, and aside of that, lithium ion battery packs and chargers segment tripled for this company in FY23. And if you look at the PE multiples, 14.5, it looks like it is much cheaper than its other peers, Exide Industries, Motherson, Sona BLW. Compared to all these stocks, this stock looks much cheaper. And point to note is that FPIs have upped their stake in the counter, even though domestic mutual funds have reduced their stake in the last quarter. So all in all, it's banking on demand from auto and telecom. Let's see how it pans out, because the numbers have been pretty good. It's just that on the margin front, it will be maintained. Given the fact that it's increasing its capacity. So this is one stock that's on my radar.
So obviously on the back of expansion, Nandita, obviously Amara Raja will be in focus, but today Deepak Nitrate also announced a big capex plan worth 5,000 crores. Over the next 3 to 5 years, they would be doing a capex of 5,000 crores, and the capacity expansion really will happen in phenolics segment, wherein they will be increasing the phenol and acetone capacity. Also, they will be setting up a specialty chemical unit, and there also we could see some end users like agrochemical industry, the epoxy industry, paints, adhesives, auto businesses are really looking forward to buy their products. Obviously, in the past we have seen the project paybacks for Deepak Nitrate were quite strong. Right now, the phenolics business is at a down cycle, and probably by when the projects get executed, the cycle should improve, and probably because of which today the market really liked this announcement. Stock was up nearly 10% intraday, and the new capacities which are coming in are in the region of Dahej and Nandesari, and the MOU with the Gujarat government for this expansion plan has already been signed. So clearly a big announcement on capex front coming in from Deepak Nitrate. Analysts do believe that from here on the next 3 to 4 years, earnings could double because of this capex. So let's see how the story really shapes up, because they have been doing well in the phenolics business in the past. They have shown their capex and execution capabilities, and now this is the second round of growth in terms of the value, which could be a big trigger for earnings moving forward for Deepak Nitrate.
Right, clearly the exuberance is showing, given the fact that the stock was up somewhere around 10% or thereabouts. The other stock on my list, of course, is from the pharma pack, Biocon. It reported a strong 30% uptick. In fact, at one point in intraday trade, the stock was up 8%, but then it did come off its day's highs and ended somewhere around 1 to 2% higher or thereabouts. It's the biosimilars business that drove earnings for this company. The management also sounded pretty upbeat, because a couple of good launches are slated for the company in the current fiscal. So that's something to watch out for, and the management has of course said that it raised somewhere around $150 million from Serum Institute as well. Serum had invested $150 million in the company, in fact by way of a loan, but then it converted that loan into equity, and it has already invested $150 million back in November 2022. Okay. So because of that deal, it is it has raised some funds, and right now it is not looking to raise any more funds. The management has said it is also looking to reduce its debt, and net debt right now is at $1.25 billion. So the focus will be on debt reduction as well. But if you look at the stock, it is a little expensive at a PE ratio of somewhere around 48.2 or thereabouts, and it's very expensive compared to the likes of Sun Pharma, Cipla, Dr. Reddy's, and the return on equity has also not been all that great. But MF holdings have increased during the last quarter by 3% or thereabouts. Okay. So the sentiment around this stock is pretty upbeat, and even though FIIs have trimmed exposure, but all in all, looks like Biocon is in for a healthy fiscal, given the fact that a couple of new launches are slated for this company. So we will be keeping an eye on that. But aside of that, stock looks pretty okay. Good set of numbers. And commentary has also been
if you look at the intraday chart, almost closed at the day's low.
Yeah.
But keeping it with pharma, Sun Pharma also, Nandita, today was in focus on the back of good earnings from Taro. Now, this Israeli subsidiary has been a clear winner for them because the results were slightly better than the street expectations. Obviously, pharma companies, if you compare it on a year-on-year basis, you would see some pressure on margin. But yes, factoring in those headwinds, still the numbers were better than street expectations. Macquarie has a buy on Sun Pharma with a target of 1275, and they do believe that Taro results have been better than expectations, and the EBITDA for Taro came in at 13.7% versus their expectations of 8%. So yes, their Israeli subsidiary is doing well, and if you look at Sun Pharma, X of Taro, the US business is doing well and the domestic business is doing well. So if they are able to deliver a good quarter and the earnings for Sun Pharma expected in the next few days, then probably their stock could see some further upside and legs to the rally.
Yeah, it looks like, you know, that the sentiment around the stock is also pretty upbeat, given the fact that both the domestic mutual funds and FIIs have increased stake in the company in the last quarter. Well, those were some of the stocks on our radar this afternoon, but we'll be, I think it's time to say goodbye, but we'll be back tomorrow once again at 8:30 am with the market, so don't forget to tune in. But for now, it's a goodbye from me and Yatin. Thanks a lot for watching.